Hello all. I hope you're doing as best as you possibly can be right now. You've heard me say this before, but I'm gonna say it again and I'm sticking with it. Our friends over at Izotope create the most thoughtfully and intuitively designed software for audio repair, mixing, and mastering. We use their tools every single day, whether it's podcasting, editing, drums, bass, vocals. You get it. We love it. We use it. And we think you should too. Go over to izotope.com and check it out. That's izotope.com. Use code FRET10 at checkout. Do your best to be better. We'd like to thank our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid is the easiest way for musicians to get music into all the platforms: Amazon, Apple, Tidal, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Plus, unlimited upload, and the artists keep 100% of their earnings. What I love most about DistroKid is their app, the ease, the design. You can do everything you need to do to get your music out there on the app. That's mobile, that's easier, that's funner. Funner is not a word. Don't use that word. Say more fun. Go to distrokid.com/VIP/tour stories and check it all out. DistroKid.
Hi, La Jolla Babylon is excited to announce that we will be recording a live episode on June 15th, 2025. That's Father's Day. We'll be at Young Ethel's in Park Slope, Brooklyn, New York. The show is at 2:30 p.m. Please RSVP by writing to lajollababylon@gmail.com. Or just show up. It's going to get super uncomfortable. And Katie and I can't wait to see you there.
Sade, how's it going?
It's going okay. How are you?
Pretty good. Are those hundreds of records behind you that I'm looking at?
They are. Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
Where are you?
I'm in Paris.
Oh, do you live there?
Currently, yes. Well, yeah.
Nice. How's Paris feeling these days?
It's cool. We're going into spring now, and it's cool. I've been having a lot of fun, going to shows, going to museums. I have my dog with me. That's been pretty cool.
Whoa. You brought your dog
Yeah.
over. I have a question. Did you have to quarantine your dog?
No, I didn't. I had all her shots and stuff, and so luckily it was like it's kind of a tedious process, but I think it gets easier the more times you do it, because then you kind of figure out what you have to do and what to be prepared for and stuff.
Okay, I have a friend doing that in August, moving to France with
Yeah.
a dog.
Oh, nice.
How long have you been in Paris?
I believe it's been, I don't know, maybe like 6 months.
What prompted the move?
Initially came to work on music. The producer of the album, actually, him and I were doing like a project together, and he's the one who showed me the studio, Motorbass studio. Then after recording, I kind of just went through some like personal stuff, and yeah, I think the more time I was spending here, the more I realized that it was a great place for me to be, for an artist in general. And I think right now is a kind of a rough time for LA and for the country. It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird time. There's a little bit more nurturing for artists here. Like you're surrounded by beautiful things, architecture, music, a lot history, fashion, and so it's a cool place to be, to have your brain stimulated,
I imagine. I'm jealous. I'd like to move over there right now.
I mean, anything is possible.
So you made the new record there, DOGGOD, which is out April 4th on Suicide Squeeze.
Correct.
I've been listening to it a lot, and it's I wouldn't say like a total departure from LA Witch, but there's some clear new direction in it. I've been listening to it a lot when I've been running, actually. And yesterday I was, probably going through the record like fifth time or something, and I was like, I know what this reminds me of. Or I kind of had a metaphor for it, which is if the screaming trees ran into Joy Division. I don't want to paint anything in a corner, but I could see Lanigan singing these songs. R.I.P. I bet he'd love this record.
Yeah.
But what inspired this new direction?
Well, I mean, I guess it started probably with the first song, which is Icicle. Either it was Icicle or Eyes of Love, or maybe both of them. I was working on both of those songs at the same time. And I think it just kind of started to naturally unravel lyrically in that direction. And obviously, I had already been spending a lot of time in France, and a lot of the songs, whether it's the lyrics or guitar parts, were written while I was here in France. And so you can say definitely are colder like influences that we already had even when we started the band over 10 years ago. Like for example, you said Joy Division, and that's something that we've always loved and listened to, like a lot of post-punk, but I don't think it really showed in our music for whatever reason. Maybe we just weren't musically there yet. We wanted to show some of those elements. For example, like we've always loved synth music, but none of us have synthesizers or play. Well, now I do, but like at the time when we started LA Witch, like we didn't have access to that or know anything about that. So we kind of just were, stuck to more punk or garage or more surf-like sound. Whereas now we have access to that and we know more about it. So being able to add that element, to help create that sound that we've always loved. We just,
Yeah. I mean, there's a density to it, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot. But it is drenched in reverb in a lot of ways, but in a lot of good ways. But yeah, there's a new density to LA Witch, I would say, and I love it.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about the record title? Clearly, there's a lot of religious, maybe Catholicism imagery with the art, and a little bit in the lyrics, or maybe a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of songs that are about love on the album, and what I can say is that to me, like if you think about the word dog and the word God, they're opposites, complete opposites in terms of like the meaning and what they symbolize, and they're kind of like a mirror of each other. And so when you actually put those two words, dog, God, and it's like creates a really cool mirror image, and also kind of makes them equal in a way. And so it was kind of a way for me to bring the word to praise the meaning of dogs and what they symbolize, and the devotion and loyalty, and also these creatures who are kind of looked down upon historically, like in terms of symbolism, and also not, because there's a lot of like Egyptians, for example, who cherished their dogs and mummified them and created these really cool like burials. But I guess it was just like a cool way to like make them equal. Yeah. It's just such a weird thing to explain, because
I'd rarely ask people about their song titles, but it's I like it a lot, and it just kind of caught my attention more than most record titles. I think partly because of simply the way the words look together, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that trick. Palindrome?
Yeah,
Yes, it is. Right. Yeah. Palindromic. I wish that was a word. I don't know if it is. And you mentioned that these songs are also about love, and I did go through a lot of your lyrics and reference the previous records too, and it seems to me like there is a deeper love on this record. Does that feel different to you this time around?
It does. I think I really I can say that I'm proud of my lyrics. You know, a lot of people think that like creativity just or inspiration just comes to them. And I don't think that's always the case. I think you have to work to find that stuff. You know, you have to read books, you have to look at art, you have to read other interviews or you know, whatever, look at paintings and think, you know, and find those, you know, sources for inspiration. And that's kind of what I was doing at the time of writing the lyrics. I mean, obviously I had those feelings, but to come up with words and write songs is like a whole other thing, you know.
Well, I'd like to play Kiss Me Deep. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
You kiss me deep out of my black sleep. Our secrets run deep, like king and queen. We must have been kin, dreamt the same dreams, felt the pull of your streams. I listen for the shimmery chimes of your chains, but there is no end to the sound. We are bound one more round. You kiss me deep out of my black sleep. Dark secrets we keep. Leap into your shadows. Leap into the gallows. It leads to the light. It leads to what's right. I listen for the shimmery chimes of your chains, but there is no end to the sound. We are bound one more round. You kiss me deep. Leap into your shadows. Leap into the gallows. It leads to the light. It leads to what's right. You love me like a precious doll. You licked me like a hungry dog. I was your lover in every life. I'm not alone or afraid to die.
That could be my favorite song on the record. Tell me a little bit about the recording. Is it pronounced Motorbass, or is there a different?
Yeah.
It is?
No,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought maybe there was a French accent attached to Motorbass, but okay.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? How'd you wind up there?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the producer was the one who showed me the studio. It's in Montmartre, which is also where I'm currently living. And it's funny because the street that it's on is called Rue Des Martyrs, which is like the Street of Martyrs,
Yeah.
which kind of ties in a lot into the kind of concept and theme or some of the themes in the songs. There's a lot of like kind of sacrifice and themes in a lot of the songs. And so it was just kind of a funny little connection there. But you know, it's funny on the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell that there's a studio. You know, it's like these huge red doors and it just kind of looks like whatever. And so as soon as I walked in, you feel like you're in a different world. You feel the energy. You don't feel like you're anywhere like in particular. You just feel like you're in this studio in a whole new world. And everything is really beautiful. The lighting's really beautiful. They had obviously a great studio board, and there's a lot of warmth in there. You can tell it was a studio that somebody built with a lot of love. You can tell that the people who worked there, it just had this energy. And so I was like, shoot, we have to record it here. And it was slightly out of our budget, which, so it kind of was like a crazy idea to try and push to record there, because first of all, it's not in the country. You don't, it's going to be expensive with the gear. We're going to have a language barrier. Also, at the time, we didn't know who the producer was going to be. So there was a lot of elements that were kind of made it to where it was like, okay, I don't know if this is a realistic thing. And eventually we made it possible. We came up with a plan. We already had a European tour in the books that we were planning. And so we figured, all right, let's do this tour. And then at the end of the tour, when we're, all like my vocals will be like, I'll have been singing every night. We'll be really like solid with playing. And so, we just thought like, okay, let's make this happen. We can do it in a week. And so the studio worked it out with us, and kind of as far in terms of like the budget, and we were able to make it happen. And it's kind of crazy to think that we did that. I don't know, it's I don't know how we did it, but we did it, and I'm super happy that it happened.
Yeah, whatever you did, it came together. Were you playing the songs on tour?
We were playing maybe one or two songs. Honestly, we thought about playing more songs live during that tour. That was kind of the idea. But when the time came, we kind of got a little scared and shy about it. We're like, we're not ready to do this. And so we didn't end up playing. I think we just did one song, which was, I think, Icicle. That was another thing, is like when, we hadn't really played the songs in a month. And so once we went into the studio, it was kind of like everything felt kind of new again.
Yeah,
we only had a week, so it's not like you can, yeah.
That sounds good to me. You had the songs written. You didn't do much writing in the studio. I'm sure you did a little bit, but you kind of got away from them, played all your other tunes, and then went back to them with sort of all your muscles ready to go, your brain muscles and your playing muscles. That's a plan for a success, sounds like.
I mean, so far so good.
And when you have tours set up throughout 25?
We do, yeah. So we have our American tour that's coming up in April, May, some of June, and then we'll be announcing our European dates soon.
All right. And when you go out, is it going to be a three-piece? I ask because there's more synths and maybe room for keyboards, a fourth person.
Yeah, we're planning on bringing Lauren with us. And to be honest, I have no idea, because when I get back, I'm going back to start rehearsals with the band before the tour. But I'm really curious myself how it's going to be, because we don't have a full, Lauren on the recordings, and we don't have additional guitar. There's a lot of space on that record, and that was one of the ideas for that record. It was very intentional to give the songs more space and be, it's something in the beginning of the band, especially in Play With Fire, I felt like the pressure to we have to fill in everything, the songs. Yeah. There has to be something, I was kind of afraid of the space, where this time I really embraced it on this record, and I think it really added a cool groove to a lot of those songs. Also, the synth parts we wrote, we tried to intentionally write it so that if we didn't have synth live, you wouldn't feel it missing from the song. You know what I mean? It's not going to take away from the song since not there live. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I hope to get to see you. I'll be in Seattle or Los Angeles a lot this year, so I'll look for your shows. It was great talking to you, and congrats on this record. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Enjoy the rest of your time in France before rehearsal. I'm jealous. Safe travels to you and Puppet, and hope to see you out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.